So, hello, my name is Lucy. I'm 26 years old now. I'm about 10 years beyond my expiry date, as I like to call it. And that's thanks to the NHS. It keeps me alive and gives me a great quality of life. So not only am I still here, I'm functioning well, I'm living a full life, I'm doing all the things I want to do, and the NHS is there that enables me to do that, both in hospital, in the community, and with my home care team funded by the NHS. So I want to talk a bit about my experiences as a patient, but also the patient advocacy and how people can make a difference, because we often think as one person we can't change anything, but the fact is we can. So I'll start off, so a couple of pictures of me. So I'm a patient with a complex chronic life-limiting condition. I have a very rare neuromuscular disease, so rare we don't actually know what it is. They call people like me swans, so syndrome without a name. And my consultant probably reckons that it's either just me or a very few people in the world that might have a similar condition to me. The consequence of that is we might never get a diagnosis, but the fact is even having a label is not going to change anything. It's not going to change my life, it's not going to change my treatment. So really, I just want to focus on living, and that's the main thing that I do. I've had very complex medical needs all my life, but lived a normal childhood. So I went to school, I did the things my peers did, I did horse riding, and fell off a lot because I have very weak muscles. I did all the things that children did, but there were always these niggling little problems. So right from birth, problems with breathing, problems with my gut, and reflux and constipation, and my joints and my muscles. But no one joined these dots together. No one thought, hang on a minute, let's put all these issues together and see what's happening. And being the type of person I am, I just get on. They just left me to it, basically. My mum thought I was a little bit lazy, because I was always a bit, didn't like walking very far, and although I liked sports, I used to sit down a lot, but I just got on with life. I had an amazing childhood, I did so many things. I really crammed in a lot into those years where I could still walk and do a lot. And then kind of got to the age of about 10, things took another turn. I started to have physiotherapy. I saw a rheumatologist about hypermobile joints and potential rheumatoid arthritis, and that was ruled out. And then again, got on with life, did my physio. Then at 14, it was like my body just went, no, can't do it anymore. I suddenly became very, very poorly. I was in a wheelchair from the age of 14. By the age of 15, I was bedbound completely. I couldn't sit up for very long because of autonomic problems. When I sat up, the blood went down and didn't come back up to my brain. So I had quite a lot going on. I developed multiple organ failure, so my gut failed and my bladder failed. So initially I was on tube feeding via an NG up your nose and into your stomach, then a peg tube, and then into my jejunum. But all of that failed because my gut could not digest or absorb that nutrition. So at the age of 17, after nearly dying from malnutrition, you'll see that picture in the top left-hand corner. That was me at 17. The week I was put on total parenteral nutrition, or TPN, I nearly died from malnutrition, and TPN has saved my life. If I was born 30, 40 years ago, TPN wouldn't have saved my life because it wasn't that readily available. And then at the age of 18, I got my first stoma, got a suprapubic catheter at the age of 20, and then got a urostomy stoma at the age of 21. So my needs escalated very quickly over those years from the age of 14 to kind of 21. And at 16, I was told that I wasn't expected to live to my 18th birthday. At 18, when I did survive that prognosis, I wasn't expected to live beyond my early 20s. And now I am at 26, living a great life, and I have a lot of living yet to do. But day to day, my needs are quite complex. I have intensive care nurses looking after me at home, so I have a care package 24 hours a day with nurses and carers. My mum is also trained, who never wanted to be a nurse, in very complex nursing procedures. And of course, Molly Dog, who sits next to me, is a big part of my life and of my coping mechanism, and I couldn't be without her. So, as I deliver this speech, I kind of want everyone to just think about what you can do. Think to myself, what can I do? What change can I make? Because the fact is we are one person individually, but together we can make a lot of a difference. And it's about thinking about using your passions, your interests, your hobbies, your tools, your skills, everything you've got to make a difference in your role. Because you might think, well, I work in management, but the fact is you can make such a difference to the lives of patients like me. No one in the NHS doesn't make a difference to patients. Everyone plays their role, and everyone makes a difference to people like me being able to have the care we have to live our lives and live full lives. And there's a quote I often talk about, and it's from Margaret Mead, and it is that never doubt that a small group of committed citizens can change the world, because indeed it's the only thing that ever has. So we in this room can all make a difference. So I wanted to talk a bit about my journey of patient advocacy, because that is intertwined with my experiences in the NHS. And you have to kind of understand my journey with the NHS. You kind of have to understand where things have started. So I've talked about the medical needs. Now you need to understand where my life as a patient advocate started. So you've heard a lot about my complex medical needs. That is obviously a big part of my life, but it's not all that I am. I am a person, not just a patient. I'm not a collection of symptoms or conditions or complications. I'm a person with a life. And I've been able to affect change in the NHS through my experiences, coming to meetings and giving events and giving speeches and working with professionals like you to make a difference. And as a child, I grew up wanting to be a doctor. So right from the age of 3 or 4, I wanted to help people, I wanted to be a doctor. That was my life. And I wanted a career where I could help people, but also indulge my passion for science and facts and solving problems. I really wanted a career that achieved all of those things, and medicine would have enabled me to do that. And by the age of 11, when I was doing, I planned my entire life out, so I even knew what medical school I wanted to go to, what GCSEs I was going to take, then I wanted to do a year abroad. I knew that I wanted to buy a house in the country and rent it out until I could move out to the country and then have my retirement planned. At the age of 11, had my entire life planned out. I'd micromanaged every section of my life, and then health got in the way, and I realised that wasn't going to happen anymore. And then I floundered, because my whole life had been geared up to being a doctor. What was I going to do now? I felt so useless, I felt like I had no purpose in life. It was really like, why am I on this planet now? What do I achieve? What does my life do? And I think because when I was growing up, no one really realised something was going on. I never had any reason to limit my perspective on my career. So yes, I had joint problems and muscle weakness and bowel problems, but in my mind it never would have limited me being a doctor. But then, because I became so poorly, suddenly it did. And at 14 I became seriously ill, and as I've said, I've outlived my expiry date. So when I got ill at 14, I stopped being able to go to school. And that was a really big loss to me. Didn't really care about the social side. I love my friends dearly, but I really didn't care. I loved the learning. When I stopped being able to go to school, my team, the school didn't provide me an education for over a term, so I taught myself a curriculum, as you do, at the age of 14. Taught myself a curriculum for a term, and then got home tuition. So I had 6 hours a week compared to my peers 6 hours a day, and I did my GCSEs at home. I got 10 GCSEs at A star to C grade. I was very proud of myself. And it just proved everyone wrong. Everyone that said to me, just do one GCSE or just do this or just, like, no, I'm going to do my 10 GCSEs, I'm going to go up to that school in my wheelchair, I'm going to collect my results just like my friends. And that kept me going in the early years of my life. But then I started going to college to study the sciences, and I was doing really well at college. I loved it. I was doing my AS levels, and then about 2 terms in I became really poorly again, and I had to stop going to college. And then it was like, well, what do I do now? Not only can I not do the doctor I want to be and go out and socialise, I now can't even do the education that has kept me going for my entire life. And it was like, I lost all sense of purpose in my life. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know where my place in the world was. And at this time, hospice had come on board, and my palliative care nurse came round one day when I was 17, and we did my first advanced care plan, my first end of life plan. And we'd spent a couple of hours talking about where I might want to be when I die, what treatments I might or might not want, all the things you need to know for someone planning for their end of life. And we were packing everything up at the end of this visit, and then Bev, my nurse, turned to me and she said, we were talking about things, and she turned to me and she just said, so what do you want to do now? And that was the first time anyone had ever asked me what I wanted to do. My life had been so dictated by, you will have this treatment, you will have this surgery, you will have this and you will have that, and we will do this and we will do that. No one up to that point had ever thought, actually, what does Lucy want? What does Lucy want to do? And it took my nurse, my fantastic hospice nurse, to be the first person to say that to me, and it transformed my life. That one sentence transformed my life. I became Lucy the person, not just Lucy the patient, because yes, I am a patient and that categorises me, but I have a life, just like all the rest of you in this room. I have a life, I have goals, I have things I want to do and achieve. And it was like finally the person had been regained in myself. I'd started to see myself as a person rather than an illness, and it changed people's perspectives around me, because when I reclaimed my identity as Lucy, people started to respect me for that. They started to respect me for Lucy with a life and goals and dreams. And it was quite, when Bev asked me that question, it was quite difficult, because she said, you know, what do you want to do now? And I was stunned into silence, and I just thought, well, what do I want to do? I don't know what I can do. I'm only supposed to have a year left of my life. Well, how am I going to do anything in the next year, 2 years, 3 years that I've got left? And then all of a sudden, out of my mouth came something that I didn't even consciously realise I needed, and I said, I want to make a difference. I don't want to die and be forgotten and nothing to be different or better because of me, and I want my life to mean something. I'd never consciously thought this, but it was obviously something I had inside me. That need to help people had obviously still been there, and I wanted to make my life mean something. I'm a hospice nurse, Bev. She put me in touch with a journalist and did some filming for the hospice. The journalist encouraged me to start my blog, and that was great, but I wanted more. This was 2011. I really wanted more. I really felt there was more for me to do. And 2 years later, Bev, my nurse, heard of a charity called Together for Short Lives, who are a children's palliative care charity, were looking for a young person to speak at their reception in the House of Commons. Talk about starting at the top. And I was asked if I wanted to do it. And they wanted me to speak on the transition to adult health services, knowing I'd had a good experience on social care and not such a good side on transition on health side. And before I could say yes, my mum said, oh no, she won't. Because I'd never wanted to give a speech before. If you'd known me at that point, I'd have nightmares about having speeches. I was so terrified of getting up in front of people, because the Lucy that sits before you today is not the Lucy that I was, 7, 8, 9 years ago. I was very shy. I often describe it as being borderline rude. I was so shy. People would talk to me, I wouldn't answer back because I didn't have the confidence to say anything. At school, I can tell you what every report said. Lucy needs to put her hand up more. Lucy needs to speak more in class. We know Lucy knows the answer, but she never says anything. So I was terrified of any attention, so much so I've only had 4 birthday parties in my entire 26 years, because I hate them. I hate being sung to, I hate birthday parties. So this work has given me so much, because now I am able to sit up in front of people and speak and do so many different things. But 2013, when I was asked to give that first speech, it was completely alien to both my mum and to me. And it was just an amazing time when I came to give that speech. And I started writing my speech in earnest. And if you know me, I write, I'm not going to read all of this, but I write loads of things and then I just kind of go with the flow. But when I gave that first speech, my skills were not as good. And I went up to the House of Commons and I gave my speech. I rolled up onto the stage in my wheelchair, looked up and felt absolutely daunted at this room full of people, knowing they were eminent professionals and peers and MPs and hospice palliative care professionals. And I gave my speech, reading from the script almost like this. No one could actually see me, but I read my speech and I looked up at the end of that speech and the whole room erupted into applause. And it was in that moment, it was like, I found my purpose. This is what I was meant to do in life. This is what I can do to make a difference to other people. And my life could mean something, and my life could make a difference for other people. So I couldn't always be the doctor I wanted to be, but now I could help people on the patient side, and things have gone from there. Life has never been the same since. I've done so many different things, and I've been able to influence people at the highest levels of the NHS. I've been able to influence government. I've been able to work with local authorities and CCGs, charities, work internationally. I do so many different things because I've got the technology and the life that the NHS gives me. This wheelchair originally wasn't an NHS wheelchair, but the TPN feed that keeps me alive, the tubes, the bags, the stomas, the medication, the treatment, the inpatient admissions, the nurses that look after me at home, all of that comes from the NHS and enables me to live my life and help other people while I'm on this planet. So I do a lot of work around palliative care, being a palliative care patient, around personal health budgets, which is how I receive my care, around personalised care, sexuality and disability, assistance dogs, so many different topics that I can affect change in different ways. And that means so much to me to be able to think that my life can change the lives of others, but also affect the system, and affect change in the system and help other people. Because I equally want to give back to professionals who enable people like me to live our lives to the fullest. I've also found that I'm part of a generation that society never prepared for. Young people with life-limiting conditions who should not have survived childhood are now living as a young adult and beyond. And it's like the system hasn't worked out that we're actually surviving. We haven't quite caught up with that yet. So I call us the unforeseen generation. Science, medical science has kept us alive, kept us going. And then it's suddenly like we become adults and the system goes, hang on a minute, we weren't prepared for this. So I've almost become a face for these young people who often don't have a voice in society, that aren't seen, that aren't heard. We're often called hard to reach. And a young person one day said, I'm not hard to reach. You could get on a bus, come to my house and speak to me. I'm not hard to reach. We're just seldom heard. We don't have the opportunities. And that's the big thing about my work. I can come to these events, I can go to these meetings, and I can share my experience, but I can also be a conduit for their experiences to come to that table where it matters most. And we are living into adulthood and beyond, and we are living great lives, but we need the system to work out how to support us best, because we are not big children, and we are not little adults. We are young adults with a unique needs, unique wishes. If you ask most of us, we don't really care about our illnesses. Our illnesses form a really small part of our life. We just want to go to school, go and work, go out with our friends, go on holidays, do all the things that our peers are doing, but you wouldn't do as a young adult. Go to festivals, which I've been privileged to be able to do. All these things that we just want to do because the system isn't there to support us at the moment, and I'm trying to change that. So I'm able to say, as part of my work, that blog that I started all those years ago with help from the journalists has now reached 450,000 views. So that's professionals, other patients, that's families, that's people all over the world. Some people have no experience of disability or health, but everyone takes something different from my blog, and my blog is it's a lot of different things that have a medical focus, it might have a patient focus, but the fact is that one blog has been able to change hearts and minds in so many different ways. Just one thing on a website that I write every so often, and it makes a difference. And also technology enables me to be an advocate. I'm sitting in a wheelchair, I'm hooked up to drips. I use slides. I can do so much from my computer using social media. There are so many different things we can do nowadays to advocate, and I want to try and help other patients to be able to advocate. A lot of my work I do at home in bed. So if you ever do a Skype call with me, I will be in bed, in my pyjamas, it's always the way. But people, this technology enables us to do so much, and actually my life is so intertwined between my physical life and my online life that you can't really separate the two. And also I've pioneered quite a lot of work using technology like social media to allow people to get involved, to allow patients to share their stories, to get their voices heard. So I set up a international palliative care, patient and carer advocacy network in 2017, which has members from I think 15 or 16 different countries, all coming together to advocate about palliative care. We've sent words of these people to the World Health Organization. We've done so many different things, all using the beauty of technology, and it's amazing what you can achieve. Even down to in 2017, has everyone heard of the @NHS Twitter? So there's an @NHS Twitter account, and that's curated each week by a new person. So it might be a professional, or it be a patient, or it be a manager, or it might be any number of people, someone from a charity. So I hosted that in 2017 and reached 1.1 million people in 5 days, just through tweets. So you can make a difference using the internet, and you can make a difference doing things just from your bed at home. You don't realise the power of what you can do until you use that tool to its best ability. And now I reach a lot of people online. My Twitter regularly reaches about 250,000 people on each week. So there's so much you can do with technology nowadays. And I try to also support other patients online, so mentoring, coaching, helping them cope with their illness and become advocates like myself, recognising that my nurse helped me do that, and I want to help them do that. And in 2013 I gave that speech in the House of Commons, and since then I've given over 75 speeches, and 35 of those were last year alone, including my TEDx talk that was mentioned earlier. And that TEDx talk was all about one sentence that transformed my life. It was my nurse saying, "What matters to you?" that changed my life. But it's also about the fact that if you focus on quality of life, you can achieve so much. If you communicate with people properly, if you communicate something well, even bad news can be taken well because they've had a good experience of that conversation. And so many different things. And also, we need to talk about death and dying. Life has a terminal prognosis. In case we haven't noticed, we're all going to die one day. We need to think and talk about it. And also, other speeches talking about patient voice and professionals and doing healthcare training and so many different things. I also sit on a lot of committees with NHS England, so the NHS Assembly I'm a member of. I sit on the Strategic Co-Production Group for Personalised Care. I've sat on so many different panels, but I've been able to affect change in so many different ways, purely by sharing my story. But as I've grown and done more over the years, I've taken on some of the professional stories and patient stories, so I bring a wealth of experience, not only my own, but from other people, to that table at the right time. And I can often say the things that professionals cannot say because I don't have to bound by my role. I can say the things that are a bit challenging, that are a bit difficult, because I am independent, and that's the beauty of patients. We can say the things that other people cannot say, because we don't have that same kind of feeling of, well, I have to save my job. If I say that, I'm going to lose my job. We can actually just say it, and people listen. People listen to patients nowadays. Patient public involvement is improved so much. But the thing is, we need professionals to be reciprocal to that. We need you all to work with us, involve us, co-produce with us. It's no good saying, we've written this policy, we'll get a patient to look at it. No. Get the patient to help you build the policy in the first place, and you'll end up with a policy that is far superior to anything that you've ever had. And also, even now, for me, I still suffer with imposter syndrome. So, I still find when I come here, I think, what am I doing here? Why am I here? I'm just Lucy. But people say to me, but actually, sometimes I'm probably the most important person in the room, because I'm the only person there that's actually got the lived experience of the service. But the fact is, we've all got lived experience. Everyone is a patient at some point in their life. Everyone's got a family member, a friend who's used a lot of NHS services. They've been a carer for someone. We all have experience of the NHS, so we all have lived experience to bring. It's not just the title on your name badge that matters, it's you, the person, and all that you've got to bring, your skills, your experience, your knowledge, and all the things you're able to do. A large part of my work, as I said, has been palliative care, including setting up that Palliative Care Voices network. And I've been able to help get people the care they need, but it's more about opening professionals' minds to what palliative care can achieve. I am where I am today because of good palliative care, because people have aggressively managed my symptoms so I can live life to the fullest. And my hospice nurse will always say, the reason you're still here is because you're able to live a good life. Because my NHS team, my hospice, they all manage my life to the best of their ability. I'm then able to go on and live the life that I live, and that's kept me going long term. I have an amazing life, I love my life, but if I give up mentally, my body's going to give up straight away with it. Because I have good palliative care, I've been able to live a full life. When I started doing my international work, I realised just how fortunate we are in the UK. We have the NHS, we have hospices, we have palliative care teams. In low and middle income countries, they don't have any palliative care. They can't access even morphine because their country doesn't allow it to be used because of addiction problems. And I just think I was so lucky to be born today in this country, in the UK, with the NHS, with palliative care, with hospices, to be born in the generation I was born, at the time I was born. I'm just so fortunate to benefit from all that medical science has to offer, our NHS has to offer, our government has to offer, because I wouldn't have survived 50 years ago. And also, the other thing is, I hear quite a lot about involving palliative care patients is that you shouldn't involve patients because they're too sick, or they're too ill, or they're too busy, or their time is too precious. Actually, most of us want to make a difference, so why not spend our time helping the NHS, helping hospices, helping charities? You don't know what we want or what we don't want unless you ask us, but the fact is, often people are waiting to be asked. I've stopped waiting to be asked, I'll just go out and do things now, but a lot of patients need that permission, so we need professionals to give them that permission to get involved, share their voice, and do so many different things. And we think of Dr. Kate Granger that died in 2016 and her Hello My Name Is campaign, but the other thing Kate did was she agreed to tweet from her deathbed. It was called Deathbed Live. And that opened up so many conversations just through the nature of Twitter and her talks. She was a palliative care patient, she was also a doctor, so she was on the inside in many respects. I'm not. I don't have a connection into the NHS as a professional, but I've still been able to affect change. We can all make a difference so much in what we do. And my palliative care work includes affecting change with the World Health Organisation. I've worked with Dr. Tedros, who's the Director General, and done so many different things, made so much of a difference, but it's because professionals have empowered me to do that. They've given me those opportunities, they've taught me the skills, they've given me the knowledge, they've nurtured me to be the person I am. And I want all of you to go away and think, how can I nurture myself, my colleagues, my peers, and patients that you might come across to be that advocate, to be that voice, because we need more voices in the NHS to make a difference. And other highlights I've had over the years include going to Victoria, Derbyshire for the NHS 70th birthday, and then to the Westminster the ceremony there, supporting policy writing, sitting on committees, doing different work with the Open University on sexuality, producing resources and guidance. There's been so many different things I've been able to do, from my wheelchair, from my bed, from a meeting room, from a computer. There's so much you can do with what you've got, so never doubt the power you hold within yourself. You have so much influence and you have so much to bring. And as I said, it's not just that name and that title on that label that means what you are. You are a person with a unique set of skills, there's so much to give. And I've been very fortunate to be recognised for my work. When I was 22, I received an MBE from the Queen, and I received it from Prince Charles. In 2018, I received an honorary master's degree from the Open University. And last year, I was named the 9th most influential disabled person in Britain. And I think it's lovely to be recognised, and I don't doubt the power of being recognised, but the fact is, I'm Lucy, I do what I do. I don't need a label or a thanks, or I just want to make a difference. The only thing I seek in my life is that when I come to the end of my life and I'm at my deathbed, that I made a difference. And no amount of awards can give me that, it's only the doing of the work that can give you that feeling. And also I was recognised in 2015 as top 50 patient leader by the Health Service Journal, which was fantastic. That really made my year that year. We had a difficult year in 2015 with my mum being ill, and that was just a fantastic highlight. And I mentioned earlier that imposter syndrome is very real. And there's a quote, which you can see up there, from Kath Evans, who used to be the Experience of Care leader at NHS England. And she talks about imposter syndrome and about being a tall poppy. And what is a tall poppy? So a tall poppy is someone that's not afraid to stick their head above the parapet, to be a leader, to be a mentor to others, to grow their influence, to do many different things. But you're prepared to stand up and fight, stand up and be heard. So we need a lot more tall poppies in the NHS to be able to stand up, because there's so much innovation going on a local level that we never hear about. You might make the slightest change to a form that makes a massive difference to patients. We need to hear about that. We need you to stick your head above the parapet and say, actually, we changed the TEP form to include this sentence and it made all the difference to our patients. It might be something so little, but we never hear about it. So we need to stick our heads above the parapet. We need to tell people where good practice is happening and where innovation is happening, because where innovation is happening, that's where we need people to be going and looking at what people are doing. And before I end my speech, I wanted to talk a bit about innovation in my own life. So I've had care at home since I was 15, initially through social care direct payments, then an integrated funding budget with 50% healthcare funding, 50% social care funding. And then I got my first personal health budget from the NHS. Then my mum became ill, the package fell apart, and I had since 2015 I've had an agency package, which is not great. When you've always controlled your own packages and ran your own staff, losing that control to an agency was very hard. When we realised that my mum, who has made an amazing recovery from her illness, but when we realised that it was going to be longer than 6 weeks off for an operation, we decided that, I decided I wanted to go back on a personal health budget. I wanted to take my nurses and take my carers and go, hang on a minute, I don't want an agency, I want to go back to how I did it before and manage them myself. So in 2018, I took my carers back over, and my carers now work for me and I employ them directly. But my CCG were quite surprised to hear that I wanted to do the same with my nurses. So nurses on a personal health budget is not unusual. Nurses on a direct payment that is managed by the patient is very unusual. Not many patients want to take on the clinical governance, the clinical oversight, the delegation of healthcare tasks. There's so many different things you have to factor in, but I wanted to run my team myself with my nurses. They're my team, we work together, I run the package. So I employed a clinical nurse educator who does the clinical oversight of the package for me. She does some of the training, she supports the nurses with their role. I also do a lot of support with my nurses. So I'm just about to sign that package off. So my nurses are just being recruited, finally, after all these years. I'm actually going to make it over onto PHB. But my personal health budget, once I have the nurses, will be a full wraparound 24/7 care package. 16 hours with a nurse, 8 hours overnight with a carer, and 6 hours of double up care. I'm also able to employ my mum as one of my personal assistants, so much as a personalised care, because I can evidence that she makes a difference to my life and gives me more flexibility and control. They have allowed that. Now, a lot of innovation has happened here. This is not typical for the NHS, even up to 10 years ago, but personal health budgets now are a new way of managing things. They put us in the driving seat of our care and of our lives, and there's no doubt that giving people autonomy over their care actually helps them make better decisions about their health. It makes them more able to make decisions about their lives. I know the autonomy that I value so much, that I've had threatened over the years, when I've got that team back under my control 24/7, I know it's going to change my life. And I can make the package work for me. It's not, these are the hours and these are the staff. It's my team, my staff, we work together, we work through it. I've had to do policies and contracts and all these different things, but I'm able to take over that task and manage my own team. It is going to change my life. Personal health budgets, they are the way forward. We need to all know about them, learn about them, because they are going to change the way we do care in the NHS. But there's also innovation within personal health budgets which are 10 years old now. There's nothing like my package on the market, so to speak, but I hope my innovation will lead to other innovations elsewhere and show you that you can manage very complex needs in the community and you can be creative with funds, because PHBs, personal health budgets, they are not any new money. There's no new money in the pocket. It's just taking money out of where they provide that agency care and giving it to me to manage myself. And it's totally patient driven, but the other thing for me, and the costs will speak for themselves, from the agency to the personal health budget, almost £30,000 a year saved with the carers, just by me taking them off an agency and managing them myself. But the nurses, once that goes over, £70,000 a year it's going to save. In the process of giving me what I want, choice and control, I'm saving the NHS money. So once this all is signed off in May, £100,000 a year saved on my care package alone. Now, personal health budgets are not about cost saving, but they are about giving more choice and control. And if we can achieve savings by doing that, why not? Why not look at what we can do? Be creative with the money we've got, because the NHS hasn't got many resources. But if my package alone saves £100,000 a year, why don't we look more into this and using more user-driven patient health care? Because I know what I want out of the NHS, and I can tell you to give me the best care without spending an extortionate amount of money on many different services that aren't going to meet my needs. And it's personalised to me. It starts with what matters to you. What do you want, Lucy? What matters to you? My care plan, they're called personalised care and support plans because they are personalised. My care plan has a section about Molly in it. It's got a whole paragraph about Molly because she matters to me. It's got a whole section about my work because that matters to me. It represents me, but so does my package. Creative use of those resources. No new resources, but it's saving £100,000 a year in the process of giving me the best life possible. And as you can see, I am one person, but I've driven a lot of innovation in the NHS in my own way. I've changed hearts and minds, I've enabled processes to change, I've enabled policies to change. I've done so many different things because the NHS keeps me alive, because the NHS enables me to do those things, because professionals support me and mentor me and enable me to do the things I do. I couldn't have done this without all the people that have given me a helping hand over the years, that have given me a skill, or someone that spent half an hour at a conference talking to me about a different procedure or process. All this knowledge and learning I've gained from people in the NHS has enabled me to give back to the NHS. And the thing is, one person with an idea, with a passion to drive it forward, and the conviction and confidence to know it's necessary and worthwhile, and the drive and determination to make it happen, can change the system. And that means all of you in this room can change the system. So, the patient voice is a critical catalyst in improving healthcare, but so are the professionals, your voices, your experiences, your knowledge. We need everyone to come together and improve the NHS together, not separately, but as one. We know professionals have huge power in the system, but actually we get bogged down with culture and policies and procedures and tick box and hierarchy, and just don't pay any attention to that. Just think, what can I do to change the system? What power have I got? And what is in my gift to make a difference to my colleagues, to my patients, to the system? There's so much we can do to change hearts and minds, to give influence to other people. And it just takes one person sticking their head above the parapet for other people to think, hang on a minute, I can do that as well. I can make a difference. And you want your determination and your work to be contagious. You want to infect other people with this determination to make a difference. So we don't matter, it's a very bad analogy at the moment with coronavirus, but we need to start infecting people with this determination and courage to make a difference. Not with a virus, but with a virus to make a difference. So, and the fact is, we need to rock the boat. So we often hear, well, don't rock the boat, don't do this, don't do that, don't do anything that's going to change anything too much. Actually, we need to rock the boat. We need to shake things up. And the fact is, one person can make a small change that creates a ripple, that creates a wave, that then rocks the boat, and then things change. So one person can make a difference to that. And do not underestimate the power you hold within you. I've discovered my power because other people have enabled me. What can you do to enable other people to find their power in the system? And I am one person that's created an endless ripple, and I know when I die and I reach the end of my life that my life meant something and I made a difference. So, what change are you going to make? Thank you.